What up, what up? Welcome back to Lockdown Universe, home of the bizarre, peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO legend and paranormal lore. Welcome back, welcome back. Happy to be back. Hopefully you guys are doing excellent and taking care of yourselves. So today we're going to talk about the threat to UFO whistleblowers and Superman Tim Burchett, Representative Tim Burchett from Tennessee, who has always been on the UFO researcher side and for UFO and alien disclosure. And how he states that we should not trust the government, even though he's part of it. So I want to play a real quick clip here and just kind of give you an idea for who Tim Burchett really is.
Us now, big picture. Does the Pentagon know more than they're saying?
100%. 100%. And Leland, you had George Will on earlier. He said it's in our country's DNA not to trust the government. And this is another example why. These are Navy pilots. These are the top pilots in the world. And they didn't leak it, but somebody else leaked it. And for the longest time, they said it didn't exist. And now that they've come forward with these tapes, there's so many of them out there that show, they're flying into the water, under the water, in the air, like this, which we're seeing right now on the screen. There's just so much out there. And
it's
we
wild.
need to start.
Look at that black cube. That black cube's flying in the sky. They got that on camera. You want to see it again? Black cube. Right there. Right there. Okay, so Burchett's telling us, don't trust the government, even though he is a representative for Tennessee. I mean, that just goes to show you that, you can be in the government and not trust the government. He's basically like, Mel Gibson in The Patriot. He doesn't want to go to war because of, X, Y, and Z. He doesn't believe in it. Don't always trust everything that your government's telling you. And, it's really lovely to have somebody that's so refreshing in there being our Superman. Now, what he stated was that they had multiple whistleblowers ready for that UAP conference, congressional hearing, I should say, 6 months ago when Grush came out and talked about it. They only had 3 people on that stage. So remember, just on January 12th, when Representative Paulina Luna stated that she believed Grush in the fact that there was a lot of threats to whistleblowers and to deaths because of it. People were killed for their UFO information. So I think it's really good to see this information come into light. And Burchett really giving us a lot of info off of it here. I'll play a little bit more here.
Because if these, whatever they are, have control of the air like that, it's a national defense issue for us. And so that's probably a meteor right there. But it's still pretty compelling. Somebody needs to start asking answering questions.
You think about this. There's three answers here, right? Of all this stuff, or maybe multiple answers. But for each object, there's one of 3 answers. Either A, it's a U.S. government project that's top secret, and we don't want anyone to know about it, and they're testing it out on our own military. 2, it's a foreign military that's testing their newest and latest technology on our military. Or 3, it is something from out of this world. Which one of those 3 is most plausible?
To me, it's the third. If it was ours, we could end all conflicts because we would have the strongest air power ever. 2, if it was the Russians or the Chinese, I mean, honestly, Putin, he would land one of those things on the White House lawn and ride a unicorn out and wrestle Joe Biden. So the reality is it's 3. I mean, there's historical references to this if you read your Bible.
That's what I love about Burchett is like he's an expert in UFO history. Listen, he's gonna talk about it here.
Chapter Ezekiel pretty much describes a UFO landing, and historically we've seen it in the Dark Ages through paintings. There's hieroglyphics on walls and caves. There's all kinds of things.
Okay, so he knows all. That this has been going on since the dawn of man, and before. So what's really interesting is going back to yesterday's podcast where we talked about the fact that Representative Luna stated that in her conversation with Grush, that he stated that these were interdimensional beings. That was a freaking mind meld for me, okay? And so I was like, out of my mind. I was like, holy shit, this is insane, right? I mean, to a degree, I thought, well, maybe they are interdimensional. Now, after reviewing a little bit more information, a little bit more video, come to find out that it does make sense. And I thought about it for a little bit, and it came to find out some interviews with Stephen Greer. And a lot of people don't like Greer anymore. They did, but now they're kind of like, is he a disinformation agent? But what Greer talked about was they can be interdimensional and extraterrestrial at the same time. But Grush never used the words extraterrestrial. So what can happen is that they can be extraterrestrial and interdimensional. How is that possible? They can be from our dimension. They can be from another planet. But to get from their star system to ours, they can't travel at the speed of light. So what Greer stated was they have to fold time-space onto itself, just like we've been talking about for forever, the Einstein-Rosen bridge. If they can create an Einstein-Rosen bridge, create a wormhole or a portal or some kind of method for traveling faster than the speed of light, not by a physical means, but by a transportation through a wormhole, maybe like a Stargate type thing, that they have to go into another dimension or an in-between dimension to get from there to here, right? There's an in-between. Even in the Stargate, there's the puddle, right? They have to go through some area to get to us, right? So they can be interdimensional and extraterrestrial. Okay, let's listen a little bit more as to what Burchett has to say. I like his analogy as to if Russia had this technology, they would just drop down. Putin would ride a unicorn right out onto the White House lawn and hang out there.
Out for me though, if it is from out of this world, why don't they land on the south lawn of the White House and walk out and introduce themselves? They probably even wouldn't have to dress up like a unicorn. They look like unicorns.
Why would they? I mean, I don't know the answer to that. Honestly, don't. Billy Graham, I think, was quoted as saying, "If you think that we're the best that God can do, then you greatly underestimate God, because there's, infinity is a long way out there.
Yeah.
If you look at the stars, and you're looking at stars, literally, just to put it in perspective, stars we see now, the light we see, left that celestial being before the time of Christ, and some of them are not even in existence anymore. But we're seeing that light. So you're talking the vastness of space.
You're an expert on this, so I understand your skepticism.
See, so remember what we were talking about with the light? Like, the fact that they have to travel faster than the speed of light, because the speed of light is getting here from these stars that are already dead. So they have to travel faster than the speed of light. What I wanted to get to with this, too, is that there were threats to a lot of the folks that were supposed to come forward. And I got a picture in the video of behind the three individuals who came forward. David Grush, a major with the U.S. Air Force and worked for the NGS. And then we also have Ryan Graves, a Navy pilot, who personally witnessed UAP and these black boxes in the sky that were traveling past him. And then we also have Navy Commander, I apologize because he should he's the most senior person. But we have Navy Commander Fravor, who's retired, David Fravor here. And I'm going to show you something here, okay? This is really, really fascinating. Take a look at this. So we have David Fravor right here, Commander David Fravor, U.S. Navy retired. Look behind him. As you can see, there's chairs that are empty. You got Mr. Corbell right here, right, the UFO filmmaker. He's got his tattoos, you can see. He's got his green shirt and his white beard. But then right here, what does this sign say? It says, reserved for witness. I bet you this one says reserved for witness behind Commander Fravor's head, and then this one says reserved. All three are empty. Why do you think they're empty? Because they were threatened and told not to show up. And as we're going to see or hear right now, we're going to listen into Tim Burchett talk to us about how these witnesses were threatened and told not to show up and bailed out.
So it's a bogus cover-up. It doesn't fit, and it's about power and it's about control. Honestly, it puts a lot of people out of business. The military
knows that.
Conflicts overseas or anything else. Investigate something that they've been keeping a lid on for decades.
So how do we figure out the truth, Congressman?
We take the shackles off. We put pressure on the Pentagon and funding and everything else and say, enough is enough. Bring forth what you got and let the American public decide. I trust the American public. I don't.
So you want them to just release everything and then
really Pentagon that it's not a tinfoil hat thing anymore. I mean,
so what he talked about in earlier in this video and in others was that they were blocked. Here we go. The witnesses were scared away. I apologize.
I'm told by reliable people I need to be careful, and I don't know what I'm doing, and other Congress members telling me that they actually have had several congressmen, pretty reputable congressmen, tell me they've had sightings and they've described some pretty interesting things that have happened to them, but they wanted. I said, "You want to come talk about it?" And they said, "No, I want to be anonymous, but I want you to know that I'm not against you on this thing because I have seen something that was I could not describe."
I think there's still an embarrassment factor, but it seems like that's changing.
Yeah,
Congressman Burchett.
And then you get a hold of them, and they say, "In fact, yes, I do want to come talk." And then I've been following this issue for years. I mean, maybe 40 years. I was a kid, 50 years, I guess.
He's hardcore into it.
And so these names keep popping up, and you read about them, you research them. They're decorated veterans. And they want to talk, and they might want to talk. And then you get a hold of them, and they say, "In fact, yes, I do want to come talk." And then lo and behold, they start backing out. And I'm told by reliable people I need to be careful, and and I don't.
He had a whole list, and that list got scared off. I mean, you're talking. He said he had a witness from NASA, and NASA said this guy never worked for us. We're not gonna be truthful. We're not gonna tell the American public that this guy worked for us. And they were gonna bury him under some contractor status. He had another witness from the government. I think it was DIA, and he got threatened. He got a phone call saying, "Hey, don't show up." And then there was another, I think, Navy witness. So they had at least 6 witnesses. They had half. They had 3 that were able to show up and had the cojones to show up. And why is that? Because they're going to get their pension taken away. They're going to get their life taken away. They're going to get their family hurt, whatever the case is. And maybe these guys that came forward, maybe they don't have family, maybe they do. I didn't do that much research on them. But, the fact of the matter is that, they risk their lives to have this information come out. I think that's really important when you look at how dangerous this is and how many people's lives ended because they were going to become truthful and come forward. Phil Schneider, who was doing a conversation circuit and doing a tour back in the 80s, and I think he was killed off in the 90s. They said it was death by suicide, but he had a gunshot wound or something like that. It was insane. It was the stupidest thing I'd ever seen. And the suicide was supposed to be by hanging. Just a bunch of bullshit. And it's really unfortunate. I want to pull up another clip here.
Firsthand knowledge of something?
Yeah, we thought they did. We get these names, and I get names because I've been following this issue.
That's all right. That's later.
And it's not their position to do that. See, that is the swamp. You got somebody whispering in their ear, some contractor or some friend or somebody in Congress is compromised because they went on a trip overseas and they let their guard down and ended up getting filmed doing something they shouldn't have been doing. And that's exactly what the Russians would do. with these honeypots, and our own people would do it just as well. They're just as.
See what he's saying there? He's saying there was people from Congress that wanted to come forward, but they got blackmailed with some sort of video or some kind of information about them so they wouldn't come forward. Unbelievable.
I was leaving the Republican conference and said, "Hey, are y'all having this press conference, right?" And I said, "Yeah, it's tomorrow, I think, or whenever." And he said, they put you in a room that's under construction, and it is tiny. I said, he said, "This is a big deal. You need to be in the main room." And I was like, "What the heck's going on?" So I got to check it, and sure enough, and staff members told us that David Grush wasn't reliable, and it's not their position to do that. See, that is the swamp. You got somebody whispering in their ear.
See what he's saying is that people were telling him that David Grush wasn't reliable, that he shouldn't be relied upon. Unbelievable. You got people, blackballing people, these, whoever it is, these paid, swamp people in the government trying to get Burchett to say, hey, you know what, let's not bring Grush up. Grush was the single most important person on that dais and in that congressional hearing, period, bar none. He may go down as the single most important person in UFO disclosure, period, along with Tim Burchett, along with maybe a couple other people. I mean, these guys are making history right freaking now, and this is a historical time. And these bills are being passed where the pilots are going to be able to come forward anonymously, give their information publicly, and we're going to get to the bottom of this. These other organizations that they're developing now, they're going to be given presidential power to go into any base they want, get information, and pull it out. Presidential power. Now this UFO phenomenon issue is pretty much always been above the president's head because the president is only in office for 4 years or maybe 8, while the rest of these people are in there for a lifetime. But with these new offices that they're creating, their government offices, they're going to have presidential authority to go in and do this and report back to the Congress, which is for the people, by the people. Not the military, not the Pentagon. Like Burchett said, the military works for Congress. Congress has to approve their budgets. And if they're using black budget operations and funding themselves, that's a different story, right? That's an issue. So I think Burchett, along with Luna, along with the other representatives that are working together with them, are superheroes. And these other whistleblowers that got threatened might have been threatened with death, might have been threatened with financial loss, might have had their family threatened or their career threatened. And I just wanted to show you that there were other witnesses at that congressional hearing that should have been there. So it makes you think there's still threats being put out. And Luna stated just 3 days ago that when they went into that skiff, it was confirmed. So keep that in mind. Anyway, guys, I hope you're having a fantastic night, taking care of yourselves, staying positive, staying in the light, staying focused, giving your loved ones the attention they need and yourself, taking care of yourself physically, spiritually, emotionally, and following through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams. And as always, continue to question the universe around you. Please follow, like, and share, and subscribe, and I will continue to bring you more information as it comes about. Till next time, guys, take care. Lockdown Universe out.